7 o'clock Eastern time, and we have the first important news of the night. Some poll closings around the country, and we can project now that Kentucky is going to be won by John McCain. 10% in, but the NBC News projected winner is Senator John McCain out of Kentucky, Republican stronghold.
No surprise on those 8 electoral votes. No on these 3 from Vermont. NBC News projecting at this hour that Senator Barack Obama will win in Vermont. The polls suggested all that all the way along there.
And we looked at the electoral map here. 270 needed to win. It is McCain with an early lead of 8 electoral votes to Obama's 3 key.
Now, of those we cannot call at this hour, the big hitter of 7 o'clock Eastern time, Indiana, is too close to call. Remember our various categorizations. The other one is too early. That one is too close, vitally important. The first toss-up, the first real step in the Republican dream of threading the needle here, and it is too close to call in Indiana.
The big story we'll continue to talk about in Georgia. It is too early to call. 0% in on the precincts. Too early to call in Georgia, also a state where Obama would like to make some gains.
Too early to call in Virginia, which is an Obama lead. It went to Bush, of course, by 9% in 2004. The polls have been recently stretching out for Mr. Obama. It is still a lean, and it is too early to call based on the polls closing moments ago.
In South Carolina, same condition, too early to call. In the race in South Carolina, also a Republican stronghold. We will still watch the African-American turnout there, however, throughout the night. Chris, the big headline out of that initial bit of news.
Well, I've been telling people for days, so I'll be consistent tonight, that you look at Indiana, a state that was born Republican. It's a Republican state, as Republican as, say, Vermont. It's Ben and Jerry's country. I mean, that's a liberal state, even a very liberal state. Hoosier country, the fact that it's too close to call, and I think we have to distinguish here in our calls. Too early to call, that's one thing. But when you say too close to call, that means we've got a lot of information, and it's going to end up close. And that means tonight, as we leave here at 3 in the morning, Indiana will be a close call. And if that's a close call, that's very telling and very helpful if you're rooting for Barack Obama tonight. Because if the Republicans have to fight to hold Hoosier country, that means they're probably going to lose Ohio, probably going to lose Pennsylvania, and you can sort of figure it out from there if you've been observing this all along.
We are back with poll closings now at 7:30 in the East. We are going to begin with North Carolina. It is too close to call. No, nothing in percentage-wise. Barack Obama at 50%, McCain at 49%. Too close in North Carolina.
The largest of the toss-up states for tonight, Ohio, is too early to call it and its 20 electoral votes. It's not surprising that it's too early to call. One poll a couple of days ago, Obama by 2. Another the day before had McCain by 2. Too early to call in Ohio.
In the decider in 2004, West Virginia is too early to call at this point. Just not enough information in the Republican state of West Virginia.
And to review the earlier closings at the top of the hour, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, Indiana remains too close to call. In an extraordinary series of developments, we've gotten some insight into individual counties, and clearly this is as close as that actual factual vote count would suggest. Indiana too close to call.
And Georgia is too early to call in Georgia there. McCain 72% there, but simply too early to call in Georgia.
We heard the former governor of Virginia, Douglas Wilder, now mayor of Richmond, be optimistic about Virginia, but that remains on our board as too early to call. Bush, of course, took that state by 9 percentage points in 2004. The polls were about +4 Obama in the last week. Too early to call in Virginia.
The same case in South Carolina, too early to call as well. Gene Robinson's home state. Don't have a lot to work on there.
So the national map to this point, we've already fulfilled expectations in that toss, lean, likely map that had going in here, according to NBC News projections, 286 Obama, 157 McCain, 95 up for grabs. So right now it's 8-3 with Kentucky for McCain and 3 for Obama in Vermont. So it's 8-3 as your
So we got
partial score.
Bluegrass beating Ben and Jerry's so far.
Well, you got a lot of gray on that map, which means the voters have got a lot of work to do yet.
We know it's not going to be unanimous.
So let's go to what little we have to work with, which is that discrepancy between, that dichotomy between too close and too early.
We have a result out of South Carolina now. John McCain, the projected winner of South Carolina, and it's 8 electoral votes. Not a big surprise here, but let's look at the map now. All told, 16 electoral votes now for Senator McCain to Obama's 3. as he has picked up Kentucky and South Carolina.
A note out of Indiana we should drop in while we have a chance here. The Associated Press poll, exit polling there, with the polls having closed, we've decided that one's yet to be called. But AP found that 1/3 of those who voted for the Republican Governor Mitch Daniels say they also voted for Senator Obama for president. So ticket splitting of near biblical proportions in Indiana, going back to Chris's point about the state that was born red, if you will, or certainly born Republican.
At 8 o'clock Eastern Time, we have some important results for you to report. Pennsylvania has gone to Obama. He is the projected winner, 21 electoral votes. The streak is alive. No Republicans won there in now 24 years, and this cuts off an important path for Senator McCain.
It indicates the last few weeks were a waste. We'll talk about that in a moment. Illinois, no surprise for Obama in a probably large victory. He was leading by well over 20% in the polls. Illinois, Obama.
New Jersey to Obama, 15 electoral votes.
No surprise in Massachusetts, which has been leaning all the way for Obama and is now his and its 12 electoral votes by NBC News projections. Massachusetts to Obama.
McCain on the board again in Tennessee, the projected winner with 11 electoral votes.
Maryland, another likely state going in and providing 10 electoral votes for Barack Obama, as projected tonight by NBC News as the polls close there right now.
And in Oklahoma, another victory for McCain, according to the projections, 7 electoral votes for McCain.
Nothing in terms of margins on any of these yet, but Connecticut going solidly, we're understanding, for Barack Obama. Our NBC News projection there that Connecticut's 7 votes will go into the Democrats' camp.
And this, New Hampshire goes to Obama. He is the projected winner of 4 electoral votes. This is the state that had a love affair with John McCain, but it stays in the Democratic column tonight.
And as New Hampshire goes, so goes Maine this time around, at least as the polls close in that state at 8 o'clock. It's 4 votes we project go to Barack Obama for the presidency of the United States.
And Delaware as well for Senator Obama tonight, the home state, of course, of his running mate Joe Biden. 3 electoral votes for Obama.
And it merits mention, it was no surprise. In the polls, it was Obama 82, McCain 13. D.C., Obama the projected winner in the District of Columbia.
And so here we are. This is a look at the national vote. You see it's Obama with the lead, 103 electoral votes. McCain now with 34. He needs 270 to win. Pennsylvania, 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 Chris Matthews.
I thought it might happen tonight, and I have to say right now that the McCain campaign strategy for victory has crashed.
At 8:30 Eastern Time, we have poll closings in Arkansas, and this is what we can tell you, that it is too early to call in Arkansas. 6 electoral votes at stake, and simply too early at this stage.
And what this means in terms of the national map is that all that has been called for, with one exception, has been solid Obamas or solid McCain. 4 solid McCain states, and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 solid Obama states, plus Pennsylvania, which was an Obama lead and which was called as the polls closed. Virginia, too close to call still.
Right.
But again, there has not been. That's just changed from too early to too close to call. Something the Republicans obviously were hoping for, and one of their paths to conceivable triumph for McCain. But again, of what has been called so far, everything was in the likely category except for one Obama lean. So the rest of the leans and all the toss-ups are still up in the air.
Well, one of the things I have a question about, Chris, when it comes to Virginia is how the vote flow goes. What we're expecting to see. Maybe we'll talk to Chuck in a little while to talk about what we're expecting here now that it's too close.
Well, you know, Virginia is changing a lot. It's like Massachusetts. It's changing a lot.
We have news here. We can call Alabama now. Alabama is for John McCain. He is the projected winner of the 9 electoral votes in Alabama, protecting another red state in the Deep South.
So then again, that's increasing what we were referring to earlier. Everything that has been called, with the exception of Pennsylvania, was solidly already expected in that pre-electoral map from Chuck Todd and company that patterned out to 286 Obama in the Electoral College, 157 McCain, 95 up for grabs. The toss-up states are all still toss-ups. Many of them are still voting at this hour, and all the leans, except Pennsylvania, on both sides are still not yet called. Here is the popular vote. We're seeing this now for the first time. We're into nearly 7 million votes per, and Senator Obama with a mathematical lead of about 58,000 votes at this point.
Can we just go back, Chris, to the issue of Virginia? It's now too close to call from too early to call. What do we watch for here in the balance of the night?
Well, it's geography. Everyone knows there's a northern Virginia, which is around the D.C. area. It's a highly educated, actually better off economically in many ways than the rest of the state. You find people that don't have southern accents, to put it lightly. You can often see the lawn sign difference when you go to Virginia. As further you get away from Washington, the signs turn from blue to red, and they just do. Ollie North did very well in the outskirts of Virginia. But that said, there's kind of a synthesis going on down there. Well, notice tonight that early tonight we announced very early on the victory of Mark Warner. Mark Warner ran, as he put it in his TV ads, in the tradition of John Warner. He said, I'm going to be like John Warner. Jim Webb, the other senator from the state, very conservative in terms of being a military man.
Former Reagan cabinet member.
Right. So what you're seeing is not so much a move, from a conservative state to a liberal state, is a mild movement toward the other direction, something more moderate. It's not that dramatic, but I think Virginia is definitely a state in transition.
We also are getting some reports from Zhang Yang in Richmond tonight that the estimates for turnout in Virginia are at 80%. If that holds up, that's a very significant figure.
Just think about it. It was the capital of the Confederacy. And there's a good chance tonight, or at least a 50-50 chance based on our calculations, that they will vote for an African American for president. I mean, the historic nature of this. When you drive through Alexandria, as we all have, you've still got Jefferson Davis Highway. You've got the monument to the Confederacy, the Confederate soldier there on the main street there on King Street. It's a city that's imbued with the South, and to have a black guy elected as president of that state is big news.
We have more news. Georgia, we can project now and call for Senator McCain. In Georgia, the projected winner, Senator McCain, 15 electoral votes. Again, a red state, not a surprise, but we did have conversations in the days leading up to Election Day, Keith, about the potential for African-American turnout, certainly organization for the Obama campaign in Georgia.
And again, now we can start amending that list. That's the second non-likely, non-solid to go. It was only McCain lead going into our last estimates of the Electoral College. And so that's the first one. Took a little bit longer, but it went as expected into the McCain campaign coffers. And there are 15 more electoral votes for the GOP.
9 o'clock now on the East Coast. More poll closings, more results to tell you about. We will begin with a projection for John McCain. He is the winner. That's our projection in Kansas. 6 electoral votes. The solidly red state stays in the Republican column. And New York tonight, predictably, for Senator Obama, getting 31 electoral votes, according to our projections.
Another one from the likely pile. Michigan goes as expected to Senator Obama, and the votes that didn't count in the primary seem a long way to go. 17 electoral votes for Obama in Michigan.
And in Minnesota, it goes to Obama. The Republicans had their convention there, thought they could contest it. Not the case. 10 electoral votes for Obama. Wisconsin is just closed and is, as expected, in the Obama camp with 10 more electoral votes in Wisconsin for Senator Obama. Rhode Island, also to Obama, 4 electoral votes. Our first toss-up to go. It is not a huge toss-up, not a huge gain, but it is the first toss-up to be decided. And NBC News and MSNBC project that North Dakota will be in the McCain category at the end of the evening. 3 electoral votes for Senator McCain out of North Dakota. And Wyoming goes to McCain as well. Vice President Cheney had to campaign there earlier this week. There are a couple of too earlys and too closes still to review, but let's look what's on the board right now. At Obama, 175, McCain, 70. No deviations from the expected map as yet between the likelies. 1 lean each. Obama got Pennsylvania. McCain got Georgia. The first toss-up that we know of, North Dakota, projected for McCain. Let's tell you about the close calls and the early calls. How about this? In Arizona, it is too close to call. John McCain's home state, the polls were tightening there. Too close at this juncture.
And Texas, with its gigantic supply of votes in the Electoral College, is too early to call. 34 votes, a 9%, or rather 11% McCain lead in the latest poll out of Texas.
In Colorado, this is too early to call, but Senator Obama has a lead, vying for 9 electoral votes. This is a big battleground here. Obama wants it in his column tonight.
Again, Louisiana, another huge lead in the polls for McCain going in here, and yet this is considered too early to call, polls having just closed in Louisiana.
Another state from 2004 that Obama would like to flip is New Mexico. 5 electoral votes, too early to call at this stage.
Nebraska is too early to call. This obviously also in the McCain lean category. Polls having just closed in Nebraska, too early to call.
South Dakota also too early to call at this stage. 3 electoral votes up for grabs there.
And let's review some of the earlier closings. Florida still called too close to call. You see the percentages now. 45% of the vote in. Obama with a 5 percentage point lead in Florida, but too close to call in Florida.
And in North Carolina, 31% in at this stage. Also too close to call. You look at the vote spread there, Obama leading, but not by much.
An Obama lead of a lean of considerable import, not a lead of any margin. Well over the 50% mark, and Senator McCain leading numerically by about 65,000 points. Virginia too close to call.
So waiting for Northern Virginia there. In Missouri, also too close to call. Just 2% in right now. Slight edge for Senator McCain. We'll be watching this one closely.
Indiana now nearly 58% of the vote in, and Senator McCain ahead, but this one still considered too close to call at a margin of under 50,000 votes.
And in Ohio tonight, still too early to call, just 5% in at this stage, and not much in the raw vote there to look at either, but Barack Obama at 59% to McCain's 40%.
The gist of this being that of those toss-up states where we've already established from all reliable predictions that Senator McCain has to go 8-0,
right.
He's gone 1-0 with 7 undecideds. Right. You can take that as it's an umbrella for each side contained in that little statistic.
It's a good time to order the pizza because this is going to go for a couple of hours now. We're not going to be able to call this presidential election until well after 11, it looks like. It really looks like if you look at all the contested states, they're still contested, with the exception, as Keith pointed out, that one state did the blue state, or rather the blue state did stay blue, Pennsylvania. The rest, and they're exciting states. Ohio is always fascinating to watch. Indiana's become fascinating. Florida, of course, always is troubling. We don't know what's happening there. North Carolina remains up in the air, which is a very powerful statement as to how well perhaps Barack Obama is doing tonight. If he were to carry Virginia and North Carolina out of the Confederacy, that would be extraordinary.
Can I interrupt for a second?
Yeah.
We've got some news. Arkansas has gone for McCain.
Not a big surprise there, David, but the fact that it took a little while to call, probably one that folks thought at some point might shrink. This was a state Clinton carried twice.
All right, that's Arkansas. Continue what you were saying, though.
Going back to Virginia.
Sir, we have some news. We have very important news. Ohio is gone for Obama. Senator Obama has done what he has not done up till now, and that's flip a red state. Ohio, the deciding state in the 2004 presidential election. Its 20 electoral votes now go to Senator Obama. He is the projected winner in Ohio. And you look at the map, 195 to 76, the electoral votes. Keith, this is the biggie.
Yeah, so this means he could lose Virginia, where obviously the numbers are not to their liking to that point, and not feel very much pain, still be on the plus side by 7 electoral votes. But more importantly, as we've been suggesting, barring some big surprises in several Obama leans and Obama solids, that path to a Republican victory required an 8-0 record in the toss-ups, and it just went 1-1, Chris.
Yeah, he's just won, as he won Pennsylvania, he won the reddest of the blue states. He's now won the bluest of the red states. He's winning the border war, and he's winning in that part of the industrial Northeast where he was expected to have some cultural difficulties in southeastern Ohio and southwestern Pennsylvania. Whatever he had in terms of problems there, they've been overwhelmed by his success in Cleveland, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and perhaps other cities in those 2 states. So he has won 2 powerful powerful states.
It bears underlining, as we all talk about this, no Republican has ever won the presidency without winning Ohio.
Without Ohio, right. And you know, if Obama were to win Florida as well, which he seems, maybe he will, maybe we won't. Obviously, we can't call it.
We don't have Miami-Dade.
We don't have Miami-Dade, though, and we have an idea of where those votes. He will have an impressive electoral vote total by what we're now mid-evening, I guess. I mean, we're going to be here for a while until the big states out west come in. But this is very significant. Ohio is huge.
Well, I mean, we should keep in mind, too, that we've said that Colorado and New Mexico are too early to call, not too close to call, as was Ohio. The other states that are too close, Indiana, North Carolina, Florida, Missouri, Virginia, all of those. But if we do hear about Colorado and or New Mexico soon, and we now know about Ohio, this could the night could start to change very quickly.
Joe Scarborough, can I just get you into this conversation as well? This is an important state, one of the big battlegrounds from the last 2 election cycles, and as we have said, the ability for Obama to take one of these states when he had other paths as well.
No doubt about it. The thread has broken. If somebody wants to tell me where they can pick up, McCain can pick up Ohio's electoral votes, I'd like to know the 20 electoral votes. Maybe he'll win Washington, Oregon, and Hawaii, but I doubt it. Perhaps California. I mean, I'm being facetious. There is, and again, we don't want to call it. There's still people on the West Coast that have to vote, but I just don't see any pathway. You take that combined with the fact that right now Barack Obama's leading in Orange County in Orlando. He's underperforming in Jacksonville. He's getting absolutely McCain's underperforming in Jacksonville. He's underperforming in Southeast. He's underperforming in Southwest Florida. It really does look, unless there's a huge turnaround in Florida, and he's running out of time there. It looks like Florida will also go Barack Obama's way tonight. So this will be a big victory.
We have another one to report. Louisiana, we can report now, is for McCain. That is the NBC News projection that Louisiana and its 9 electoral votes for Senator John McCain. Chuck Todd, let's bring you into this discussion. Our political director, Ohio.
Boy, that's a big one. I mean, that's suddenly that eliminates the need for Obama to have Colorado, New Mexico, Iowa. That makes up ground. Look at the blue paint. You know, it's almost as if blue paint got spilled, and we're seeing in the Northeast here a little bit. It's starting to eke its way, and we're wondering, is it going to drift southward into Virginia?
We continue on our election night coverage, and we can report to you that New Mexico has now gone for Senator Obama. Another red state from 2004 flipped into the Democratic column. 5 electoral votes. Keith, this was a state that went for President Bush by some 6,000 votes. The margin much tighter back in 2000. Always felt that if it was a Democratic year, the Obama campaign felt that New Mexico would be part of it. They were right.
The ground game from Governor Richardson, obviously in that state, leading that and leading the Democratic surge in that state, extraordinary. This is not the big news of the last half hour. We'll beep that again. Ohio is projected for Barack Obama. This is a roadblock past which there are very few ways to see John McCain tunneling, climbing over, or boring through. Here's the Electoral College map right now based on our NBC News projections. Barack Obama at exactly 285 for Senator McCain, and thus far the leans have all gone to where they were supposed to go. 3 of them called. The likelies on both sides have all gone to where they were expected to go. The only toss-ups yet decided of the Big 8. North Dakota, McCain 3, Ohio, Obama 20.
And we talk about Florida as well, one of the other big battleground states. This is still too close to call. 27 electoral votes, but we've had some analysis as you look at the vote there. Southern part of the state, Miami-Dade, big Democratic areas yet to come in. There's a lot of reason to worry if you are Senator McCain from people who know the state well, Mike Murphy and others telling us tonight.
You know, you're going to see perhaps the emergence of cabinet material already tonight. Of course, Bill Richardson could fill almost any role in the new government, and Strickland of Ohio, and of course Rendell of Pennsylvania. These are big governors, big wins, essential wins, but big wins. They're going to play a part in this next administration.
It's Virginia now, Lester, for McCain, according to our projection from NBC News. 5 electoral votes. West Virginia, the projected winner. Some discussion about that. Chris?
Yeah, that's the West Virginia and southeastern Ohio and southwestern Pennsylvania are contiguous. That's a very difficult state. We saw that, the Appalachian region, we saw that problem for Barack Obama in the primaries and the caucus contest. It remains a problem, and if he becomes president, he will have a problem in winning that constituency over white working class people, rural people. He's got to win their hearts and minds. He hasn't done it yet tonight.
Let's go back to Lester Holt. Lester?
All right, we told you Democrats picked up in New Mexico.
Let's get in. We want to get into this. Let's just get the call in. From Texas has gone for Senator McCain. NBC News projection there, 34 electoral votes, pretty solidly red, you would expect. Senator McCain has Texas. Gene?
You saw that picture in Grant Park and that cute little girl, and I think at the end of the night we're going to be talking a lot about demographics and diversity. We're going to be talking about African American voters. We're going to be talking about Latino voters. I think from what we've seen in New Mexico, what we think we might be seeing in Florida, and the kind of new face of America, what America looks like today as opposed to what America looked like 40 or 50 years ago. I think the big part of the Republican Party's problem is it looks more like the America of the past than the America of today.
Got to get a break here. Coming up at the top of the hour, the polls close in 4 more states, representing 20 more electoral votes. Some important ones: Iowa, Nevada, Utah, and Montana. We're going to have results and characterizations when we return on MSNBC. Our election night coverage here continues after this. At 10 p.m. on the East Coast, 7 p.m. Pacific time, more closings and an important result. The news from Iowa. It goes to Senator Obama. That's the NBC News projection. 7 electoral votes, a battleground state, a red state in 2004. Now for Senator Obama in 2008.
From the list of the 15 likely McCain states, he's added another one, Utah. 5 electoral votes for Senator McCain, projected as the polls close in Utah.
To the electoral vote map at this point, 207 electoral votes now. McCain at 129. There is a feeling, based on some reporting from the McCain headquarters, that the magnitude of this night beginning to settle in for the McCain campaign.
And the 2 closes and 2 earlies. Too close to call yet, where the polls have just called in Montana. Too close in Montana, one of our 3-point toss-up questions for tonight, one of the 8 that Senator McCain needed to win.
And look at this, Nevada, too early to call now, 5 electoral votes, but we can report to you that Obama is leading in Nevada, another Bush state from 2004.
And to recap what we've already closed but have yet to call, Florida is too close to call. The margin is beginning to stretch out a little bit for Senator Obama, as you see a 3 percentage point lead. Why this is still too close to call? It's a 3 percentage point lead. There are, however, minimal results yet in from the metropolitan Miami area, and other results, other major cities in Florida are projecting nicely for Senator Obama. So that's too close to call, a vital and perhaps decisive one later in the evening. We'll see.
North Carolina also too close to call. Look at the vote totals then. 70% in now. Still very, very tight. You look at the total vote there, 50 to 49%. Obama, you see the numbers. This is still going to be a close one as we watch some of these key counties come in.
And in Virginia, still too close to call, where Senator Obama maintains about an 11,500, 600 vote lead. It's changing, or you see 12,000 now, over Senator McCain, with only 17% uncounted in a very tight race in Virginia, with the northern counties still coming in, particularly Prince William and Loudoun.
In Missouri, still too close to call. The difference, 30,000 votes plus, with 17% of the vote in.
84% of the vote now in Indiana, and again, too close to call. Senator McCain ahead by, now it just switched to 9,000 votes. There's an update on that. It is McCain by about 9,000 votes in Indiana.
This may tell much of the story of this night. Arizona is still too close to call. Of course, it is out west, so we shouldn't be presumptuous here. 0% in, so don't have a lot of data here, but the data that we do have is still too close to call. Polls tightening there toward the end of the race.
Colorado, in which Senator Obama has been ahead in all polling since the Democratic National Convention was held there at the end of August. He's significantly ahead, but with a very low vote total in so far of only 9%. Colorado, too early to call.
And Mississippi still too early to call. 6 electoral votes, 34% of the vote in there. McCain with an advantage at 57% to Obama's 42.
Another one of the McCain likely states, way too early to call at an 8% vote count so far. Nebraska, too early to call.
To South Dakota we go. Still too early in South Dakota. 3 electoral votes there, 35% of the vote in. It is an edge at this stage for John McCain. Just report this as we continue this conversation. Mississippi, we can project now for Senator McCain. No surprise, another likely, strong likelihood for McCain has indeed gone to him, Mississippi. Rachel?
Just also note, to Chris's point, the Associated Press is now reporting that the South Dakota draconian abortion ban has also failed for the second straight time, and about race and leadership in this country.
But it's more than that. It's one thing to come out and say we've changed our minds. It'd be the other thing to suddenly have the leader of the free world represent the rejection of all of the policies that have been officially and then unofficially and then sotto voce part of this country since its founding. Not intentionally, not necessarily with cruelty in our hearts, but just in reality.
Never mind about all that. Not never mind, but I mean, it is a turn of a page,
if you want to answer that, if you want to answer 200 plus years of that, what stronger answer could there be than this?
Yeah.
There's no symbolism required.
No,
here he is.
no, you get this immediately. Just see the picture.
And by the way, as in baseball, if the pitcher on the mound can't get the other side out, you go to the bullpen. And that's what this country's done this time. We've gone to somebody who hasn't been proven yet because the guy who's been on the mound hasn't done it.
It is now 11 o'clock on the East Coast, and Keith, we can report history.
Barack Obama is projected to be the next president of the United States of America. NBC News calling for the Democratic candidate. The states of California, 55 electoral votes. Washington, 11 electoral votes. Oregon, 7 electoral votes. And Hawaii, 4 electoral votes. Listen to the crowd at Grant Park in Chicago.